True story that inspired The Conjuring. In 1971, the Perron family moved into an old farmhouse in Rhode Island. The place was over 2 centuries old, creaking wooden floors, cold stone walls, and hidden doors that led to nowhere. They thought it was just an old house, until the nights started whispering. It began with sounds. Footsteps upstairs when everyone was downstairs. The smell of flowers drifting through the hallway at midnight. And their youngest daughter, Andrea, swore she saw an old woman standing beside her bed every night watching her. In the morning, her parents found finger-shaped bruises on her arm. One night, the father woke up because their bedroom door had slowly opened on its own. From the dark hallway came a faint voice. "Get out. This is my house." Soon things escalated. Chairs moved by themselves. Doors slammed violently. And their dog, who used to bark happily in the yard one night, just sat facing the wall and whimpered until it stopped breathing. Terrified, the parents reached out to Ed and Lorraine Warren, the famous paranormal investigators. After several nights in the house, Lorraine said something was terribly wrong. She discovered the property once belonged to a woman named Bathsheba Sherman, accused in the 1800s of witchcraft and of sacrificing her own baby. Before her death, Bathsheba had cursed the land, swearing that anyone who lived there would know no peace. During the cleansing ritual, things went horribly wrong. In the middle of the prayer, the mother began screaming, her body lifted off the ground, and a guttural, inhuman voice came from her mouth. Every candle in the room went out at once. When the lights came back on, she was unconscious, and a burned triangle mark was seared into her arm. After that night, the family fled the farmhouse. They left everything behind. But here's the chilling part. That house still stands today. The new owners have reported hearing a woman crying upstairs, and their dog refuses to climb the stairs no matter what they do. This haunting is officially recorded in local police reports. And years later, Andrea Perron wrote in her memoir, "We didn't just leave a house, we escaped someone."
The Dyatlov Pass incident, a true unsolved mystery from Russia, 1959. In the winter of 1959, 9 experienced Russian hikers, led by Igor Dyatlov, set out on a skiing expedition deep into the Ural Mountains. They were strong, well-trained, and fully equipped for extreme weather, but none of them ever came back alive. Weeks later, search teams discovered their camp. What they found made no sense. The hiker's tent was slashed open from the inside, and their footprints led away from it barefoot, half-dressed into the freezing snow, where the temperature was minus 30 degrees Celsius, minus 22 degrees Fahrenheit. It was as if they had fled in panic from something unseen. 3 bodies were found near the campsite, lying in the snow as if they'd tried to crawl back. 2 more were discovered near a tree, and the remaining 4 were found months later in a nearby ravine. But the condition of the bodies was horrifying. Several had broken ribs and crushed skulls, yet their skin showed no signs of external trauma, as if the injuries were caused by an enormous internal force. One woman was found missing her tongue and eyes. Even stranger, some of their clothing was radioactive. Eyewitnesses in nearby villages reported seeing orange glowing lights in the sky the same night the group died. When Soviet investigators couldn't explain what happened, they quietly closed the case with the official cause: death by an unknown compelling force. For decades, the area was closed to the public. Today, it's known as Dyatlov Pass, and hikers who visit claim they hear distant screams echoing through the snow, as if the mountains still remember what happened that night.
The Amityville Horror, based on true events, 1974 New York, USA. In 1974, in a quiet suburban neighborhood of Amityville, New York, the DeFeo family lived in a beautiful white Dutch colonial house by the river. It looked peaceful until one cold November night, when horror struck. On November 13th, Ronald DeFeo Jr., the eldest son, took his father's rifle and went room to room, shooting his parents, 2 brothers, and 2 sisters while they slept. When police arrived, all 6 bodies were found neatly lying in their beds. No signs of struggle. No one had even tried to run. And yet every shot had been fired from a loud rifle. But none of the neighbors heard a thing. Ronald told investigators that a voice in his head made him do it. He said, "The voices told me, it's time." A year later, the house was sold at a shockingly low price to a young couple, George and Kathy Lutz, and their 3 kids. They moved in hoping for a fresh start. But what they found was a nightmare that lasted only 28 days. From the first night, strange things began to happen. Doors slammed on their own. The walls oozed a foul, sticky substance. Their daughter said she had a new friend, a giant pig with glowing red eyes named Jody. Kathy woke up covered in bruises, claiming she was being held down by invisible hands. And George began waking up every night at 3:15 a.m., the exact time the DeFeo murders had taken place. As the days went on, the house grew colder, the shadows darker. One night, George heard screams coming from the basement. They fled the house in terror, leaving everything behind. When investigators returned later, they found the home empty, but George and Kathy Lutz never went back. Soon after, Ed and Lorraine Warren, the famous paranormal investigators, examined the house. Lorraine later said it was one of the most powerful demonic presences she had ever encountered. But the government's official statement was short. No evidence of paranormal activity was found.
The Vanishing of D.B. Cooper, a True Mystery, 1971, USA. On November 24th, 1971, a well-dressed man in a dark suit and sunglasses walked into Portland International Airport. He bought a one-way ticket to Seattle under the name Dan Cooper. He boarded Northwest Airlines Flight 305, a short domestic flight. Mid-flight, while cruising above the clouds, he handed a note to a flight attendant. At first, she thought it was a phone number or a casual message, but when she read it, her blood ran cold. "I have a bomb." He opened a small briefcase and revealed wires and red sticks, clearly an explosive device. Calmly, he instructed, "Tell the captain to change course. I want $200,000 in cash and 4 parachutes." The plane landed in Seattle. All passengers were released safely, and Cooper received the money and parachutes. He instructed the pilots to take off again, keeping only the crew on board. A few minutes later, flying low over the rugged, rainy forests of Washington State, he walked to the rear stairs of the plane and jumped into the night sky. He vanished. The crew never saw him again. When the FBI arrived, only a few fingerprints and his tie remained. Thousands of searches were conducted. No body, no parachute, no trace of the money. Except decades later, when a young boy found 3 bundles of decayed cash along the Columbia River. The serial numbers matched the ransom money. The FBI kept the case open until 2016, 45 years of investigation. Yet the man with a calm demeanor and mysterious smile was never found. To this day, no one knows who D.B. Cooper really was. A trained soldier, a former pilot, or a criminal genius?